Welcome back, America, to this Just the News, Real America's Voice special report. We're tackling the issue of government corruption. That's something very close to your hearts. We've been talking about it on the show, and tonight we're going to lean into some of the solutions. I'm still joined by AMAC Newsline Editor-in-Chief Shane Harris, and our next guest is a man who has led the fight against weaponization and also wasteful spending in Washington. He's a member of the House Oversight Committee, and he's been one of the champions of fighting for entitlement reform. He's Congressman Eric Burlison from the great state of Missouri. Sir, good to have you on the show.
Great to be on.
All right. So there is a lot of important discussions going on in Washington that we haven't had in a long time. Things like Medicaid were just off limits for a long time, but folks like you and Chip Roy and Chairman Harris are all working on entitlement reform, particularly Medicaid reform. Tell us why now and what are some of the best ideas?
You know, the Medicaid reform that we were able to get accomplished in the One Big Beautiful Bill was monumental and something that this town never thought in a million years that we could accomplish. And I'm proud to be a member of Congress where we were actually able to make some changes to eliminate the waste, fraud, and abuse within the Medicaid system. Now we need to take on the healthcare system for everyone else. You know, everyone's health insurance premiums are going through the roof. Obamacare has been proven to be an abject failure. The only thing it's successful in is destroying the healthcare economy and forcing us down the road of single payer system. And so while we have the Republican majority that we have, we cannot waste this time or this opportunity. We need to do Reconciliation 2.0. We need to go back in to reconciliation and fix Obamacare. And I'm saying dig the whole thing out, completely eliminate it, or provide an alternative that no one will want to stay in Obamacare. So provide a free market, like a super HSA account that lets people pick whatever insurance plan that they want. Instead of having your employer pick your plan or government pick your plan and your network and your doctors and your pharmaceuticals, the patient should be able to pick their doctors, pick their insurance plan, pick the hospital they want to be a part of. That will actually start driving down costs. And so we need to be doing this. We need to be having this conversation today.
Amazing.
Yeah, Congressman, you mentioned Medicaid reform, which is obviously an issue of top concern for our AMAC members, many of whom are older Americans rely on Medicaid. And you mentioned Obamacare, and that's something, you know, when Obamacare first passed, AMAC was leading the charge against it. And it sort of has died down in recent years, but it's kind of crept back into the news. And so from your insider perspective, what do you think the chances are of actually getting some major reform or even a full repeal of Obamacare? As you're in these discussions, and especially after the government shutdown where this was a major issue, what do you think the next steps are, and what's your analysis of our odds of getting that done?
The more that people talk about it, the better our odds get. And I think that the impetus has been created because the Democrats were demanding for us to be able to extend the COVID era enhanced subsidies for Obamacare. And those subsidies were checks that were literally not written to people, it was written to insurance carriers. The whole system is designed to enrich insurance carriers and eliminate choice for the patients and the consumers. So I think that there's temptation by some moderate Republicans to extend that past the election. Some of them believe they need to do that to win their election. And my response is everyone's health insurance premiums are going up by about 20%. And if you pass these extended Obamacare enhanced subsidies, you might reduce that to an increase of 17%. Do you think the American consumer is going to thank you? No. They won't recognize any of it. If anything, we're just putting this nation into more debt and throwing money down the drain towards a program that absolutely does not work. So I think that if Republicans feel the political pressure to do something about healthcare, that's good because we need to tackle this topic, and I'm ready to do it. Chip Roy and I have been talking about this for quite some time. In fact, we're doing white paper focus groups tonight even to try to drill down on a solution that the American people will love.
That's important. An alternative, a credible alternative, will go a big way to solving the problem. Something that you've really focused on. The GAO does it really well, but you have taken a look at just the vast fraud and sometimes improper billing, improper payments. I think about $200 billion you tracked last year in some of the welfare programs. This gets highlighted every year. It never gets fixed. Is this the window where we finally get it fixed? It seems like it should be easy to tell if you're paying someone who doesn't deserve it. You should be able to figure it out pretty quickly.
Yeah, we should. And DOJ did a great effort in identifying that. And a lot of that work, to your point, was already identified by the Office of Inspector Generals. And for example, we know that the government loses $233 billion to improper payments and $521 billion annually to fraud. And so that is huge, and Congress needs to step up and do something about it. And there's simple things that we can do. For example, we could require that the Social Security Administration provide their full death report to some of these agencies, so that when somebody has died, you would think that when somebody has died and the government's removed marked that down as in the Social Security system, that all the other systems would follow suit. But the left hand does not know what the right hand does in this town. So we need to build some interfaces and connections between all of these systems.
Amazing.
Yeah, and Congressman, I want to tie this back to one of the hot button political issues, or the hot button political terms that's being thrown around a lot today, and that's affordability. And I wanted to give you a chance to talk a little bit about how addressing the waste, fraud, and abuse will actually make life more affordable, because if the government isn't spending so much on things it doesn't need to be spending money on, that makes everyday life affordable for the American people.
It absolutely does. Look, every dollar that government spends in deficit spending is inflationary spending. So when we're spending $2 trillion more every year than we bring in, then that by definition is printing money and diluting the value of every person's dollar. And therefore, every time you go to buy something, you got to put forward more dollars. We have got to restrain ourselves and reduce spending. And if we can do that, we will see inflation go down. It might even reverse if we could dramatically reduce spending. And we would also see interest rates come down. So when the government is spending $2 trillion more, we have to take that out in debt, which means we're out there shopping for the debt in order to continue our spending problem. And when we're shopping, we're basically competing with consumers or businesses who are looking to take out loans or debt, and that's driving up interest rates. The Fed could lower rates all day long, but the market for the demand is what's keeping interest rates, statically high. And so at the end of the day, government has to reduce its expenditures.
Great to have you on the show, Congressman. What an honor to have you on tonight.
Anytime, John. It's an honor for me.
Yeah, we love having you on. You're doing such great work. All right, folks, quick commercial break. But when we come back, former Trump attorney Christina Bobb will discuss the weaponized justice system she's experienced firsthand. Now, before we do that, though, we're going to go and have a quick commercial break. And during that break, I got a good idea. Go over to amac.us/justice, because for as little as $1.20 a month, you can get a 5-year membership. You can join 2 million plus patriots like myself, like Shane, like Bobby Charles, and all the great folks that we bring on the show. Go join AMAC today. amac.us/justice. We'll be right back.